Hey everyone. I am so excited to have this live with Kai from Black Girl in Dubai. We are going to give it a few more minutes before we jumpstart this. So if you are watching on YouTube or you are going to be listening via Spotify or Apple Podcasts, I hope you really enjoy this session. If you're joining us, let us know where you are joining from. We're really curious to see where everyone is watching from the world. All right, we are going to get started. First, I wanted to welcome everyone that is joining us on this amazing interview and conversation with Kai from Black Girl in Dubai. If this is your first time joining, my name is Heather Courtney. I am the founder of Black in Portugal. I have been living abroad for just about 6 years collectively. I have lived in Japan, Mexico, and now Portugal. I have been wanting to be able to share more stories from travelers and people that have moved abroad to inspire everyone to get out there, travel, move abroad, or just do whatever you want to do out there that makes you happy, especially when you're able to connect with other women, other men, and definitely other communities. So with that being said, I am going to bring Kai to the stage. Welcome, Kai.
Hello. Oh, it's so exciting. Hi. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you. I'm so glad that you agreed to hop on with your busy schedule.
Well, I have to make time for you, of course. And I'm not as busy as people think sometimes. Maybe busy in the mind with ideas, but yeah, just getting things into place and saying no to things that are not serving the situation. And yeah, just spending more time at home. So lots of things to
Yeah.
discuss and share with you guys.
Yes, I can totally relate. Everyone's always asking me, Heather, where do you find the time to do this, and that? And I'm just like, I'm really not as busy as you guys think I am, and I really am in the house most days of the week. I am at home, but it's nice to know that people see like the work that we're doing and everything, and I'm so excited for you to share that as well. So, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Amazing, thank you. So, as you see, my name on the screen and my handles there if you wanted to get in touch on socials. But my name is Kai. I'm the founder of a platform and community space called Black Girl in Dubai. And despite the name, it's not about this Black girl, it's about bringing the community and culture together. So, discovering Black owned businesses, the community, the culture. If you love the culture, if you want to be connected to the culture, or you're just looking for your people, it's definitely the place and the hub to find all of that under one place. So that's been running for 5 years, and it's been a journey across that time. So yeah, it's good. I've been in Dubai 7 years, but Black Girl in Dubai was started as a community hub a few years into my journey. So yeah,
Okay.
that's me.
So tell us a little bit about your journey and how and what inspired you to move from the UK to Dubai.
Well, originally, so my background is I'm born and raised in the UK, so British accent, as you can hear. I'm from West London, and lived there most of my life. Didn't really move, have much change. I, did all the things that people wanted you to do. So, school, university, get a good job, blah blah blah. Boring story. For me, though, I felt I was beginning to be a lot more creative. So I was doing independent music in my late 20s and early 30s. I also had a promotional street team. So I was doing a lot of marketing and promo for different businesses and live concerts. And that was amazing. But I could feel my music side taking a back seat and me having to focus and juggle work with business. It just wasn't the main thing. So Dubai was always a place that I had visited, loved, and could see myself living in. I'd visited many different places before, but never really felt I could live there. It was always just a holiday. But with
Mhm.
Dubai just felt like there was such a great mix of different cultures and, the West and, of course, Arab culture. And so I decided to just give it a go in 2017. It was about 6 years that it took me to actually make that jump. But 2017, myself and my cousin just packed everything up. And yes, that we'd come over here and give it a try. She's actually a yoga teacher, and I was at the time a musician. And we already have a cousin who was living here prior to that anyway. So visiting multiple times, being inspired, and decided to just take the leap of faith. Literally packed 2 suitcases and then never looked back. So didn't have a job when I first came, didn't do any of that stuff. And to be honest, by the grace of God, continuing down this path of freelance music then, and then evolve into marketing, back into business and creative things. It's been an interesting freelance journey, but that's the original reason why I came here.
Wow.
So
So you literally was like, I'm leaving the UK because we all know the UK weather is horrible. And
yes.
you decided to go to Dubai, who has blazing hot weather.
Yes. Well, that's
That's what.
literally what I thought. I was just like, I'm going to come and sing in the sun. I'm doing music in the UK, and like with many countries, if you want to make it in the creative space, you've got to put in so much hard work and time and start at the bottom and invest so much, time, money, recording, all of that stuff before someone even hears your music. So it was a
Mhm.
lot of, sacrifice along the way. And I felt like it was either my work and business or the music. So yeah, coming out here, the dream was, just sing in the sun, just get paid to sing. And then put it all back into music, stack, and then you can leave in a year. And I
Yeah.
think that's what everyone's idea is, come to Dubai for 1 year or 2 years maximum, and then you leave. But legend has it, we don't leave. We end up staying forever.
Yes. So what were your biggest challenges you faced during your move to Dubai? I know you mentioned you didn't do much of any research, you said. You just like packed and arrived and you didn't have a job set up. So how did you navigate that?
Yeah,
And
so we did research. So I had come multiple times for holidays. So maybe in the first 5, 6 years of me just dreaming about it, I'd come and would imagine it. But because I'd never really lived anywhere else outside of the UK, and definitely not outside of London, I
Mhm.
it just seemed like something people talked about. I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that. But it was just the summer of 2016 that myself and my cousin were just literally over it. We were over the corporate world, we were over London. And I mean, to be honest, the reasons why I'm still out of London today are not the same reasons as why I left. I think I was just fed up of the rat race and knowing that I could do more and I wanted to chase more while I didn't have responsibilities. So moving to Dubai, I had catch ups with people that I sort of was able to connect with through music. My cousin, of course, introduced us to a few of his friends. So that was nice, and it was a very basic beginning and understanding to ask questions to some people who honestly just gave their time to have a coffee and answer some questions. Or back then I was using Facebook a lot, so they would answer questions on Facebook. But one of the challenges, and I think one of the things people don't really talk about, is how seasonal Dubai is. So when I
Mhm.
eventually moved, I think there are some things that I only learned once I was living here, because a holiday definitely wouldn't teach you that. And
Yeah.
it was never something that I thought to ask through my line of questioning. And I guess, me asking about music or how to live here and do all those kind of things, it also wasn't something that people felt to tell me. So it's very, very seasonal. So for example, right now is the summer, and as soon as school's out, a lot of teachers, which make up predominantly a lot of the education system here from the West, whether it's the UK, the USA, or everywhere in between, a lot of people travel and go back home. So now, to be honest, it's very busy because there's an influx of people coming into Dubai, which we'll get to later. But yeah, a few years ago when I first came, Ramadan, which is a holy month in Islam, plus summer, plus anything else that was going on at that time, just meant there were like large chunks of, you know, weeks or months where it gets very quiet and things sort of die down for either religious purposes or weather conditions. And it's just, you know, coming as a musician thinking it's going to be a full-time thing, or that you can earn maximum all year round, there's definitely
Mhm.
peaks and troughs. And I think that's not necessarily relevant for everyone's industry, but again, depending if you're an educator, there's obviously going to be certain things applicable to you from that standpoint. And I think for every industry, you know, just in the UK, Christmas, of course, is a huge thing. But when you're in
Mhm.
a location where everyone, majority is away from home, again, Christmas has a bigger impact because so many people travel for 3, 4, 5 weeks during that period. And again, you know, it's seasonal. So work slows down, business slows down, music slows down. I mean, to some degree, of course, Christmas Day and New Year's Day, you can get more work because of the big celebrations. But ultimately, there's just so many other things that happen that means it's a bit of a knock-on effect. So yeah,
No, that's good
there's so
because
many challenges, to be honest. I love it here, but that's, I think, probably one of the biggest ones that I first came across, and is still the same because every year is different. So yeah.
yes, I think we don't think about, you know, these questions about holiday season or when the locals are here, especially in countries that are very heavy on their holiday seasons. Like, yes, America, we do have our heavy holiday seasons, but I feel like compared to the rest of the world, especially Arabic speaking countries, it's very heavy. Like they take these holidays very seriously. And sometimes we don't really think about them. You know, I'm from the US, so it's not something that crosses my mind when I'm thinking about relocating somewhere, asking about these and how it can possibly affect the type of work that I'm either seeking or the type of work that I'm in. So thank you for bringing that up. That's really, really interesting. And I'm glad that you are still making it work, even with everything. I know we talk daily, so you share different holidays and different things that are going on. And I just find it very, very fascinating. I was like, let me look up this. She said it was this. Okay.
Yeah.
What was the EID? How do you say the one that just passed? EID?
Eid. So
E-
Eid, when I was in the UK, I knew it was Eid every so often. But again, when you're in a predominantly Christian country and obviously
Mhm.
everything is, you know, going by the Christian calendar or just the Western calendar, I just feel like everything else isn't of the same importance. Whereas
Mhm.
when you obviously relocate to somewhere else, and I guess even for you, you've been in Europe. So, for example, they might take siestas in the middle of the day. Like we don't have
Yeah.
that in the UK. So when people talk about siestas, it's like you've heard of them, but they don't really affect you until you're in the country where they take place, and you're like, oh, I want to go do this. And it's like siesta. So you got to rethink your whole day. So you know, moving to the Middle East, and you know, there's mosques nearby, which, you know, I see them all the time. You drive past them, you hear the call to prayer, whatever. But then when you're actually in the religious periods and people finish work earlier, or they're traveling, or they're celebrating with friends, or they're eating or not eating at certain times of the day, it just, you gotta, you know, work around friends and family and colleagues that are doing things because they're observing a different calendar or different time of the day to you, you know. So yeah.
Yes, what the one thing I found in Portugal was that Mondays, a lot of the businesses are closed, and I'm just like, "Oh, man, those are the days I wanna order out," and I'm just like, "Man, it's Monday. It's closed," or
Really?
yes, or they close between, like, 3 and 7, so, like, that's their little siesta, the time that I guess they, like, take their breaks and get ready for dinner versus, like, in the States, they're open, like, from 8 o'clock in the morning to 2 o'clock in the you know, it's way different, it's a different mindset, but being able to adapt is really not that hard. I think it's a mindset thing that you're like,
Right.
"Okay, I'm in a new country. I am just going to adapt the best way I can," and it's really not gonna hurt my soul that you guys are taking a break or this is a prayer hour or anything like that. I think it's definitely, about being open, especially learning about the culture in your new host country.
Yeah.
You never know where it will take you. I think it's as an American, and I'm assuming the British are the same. Like we're taught, we're superior. This is how the rest of the world is. These people are behind. These people aren't doing that. But then when you arrive in these countries, you're just like, wow, these textbooks was really whitewashing everything. And these people are thriving over here and they're doing amazing things. And what about this experience I had and this type of event? So it's always refreshing when you talk and share about what is going on in Dubai. So I love that about it. Um,
Absolutely. I mean, I think the same. I've learned so much more about Muslim culture and just everybody else's culture, even more so about Christianity here than when I was
mhm,
back home in the UK. And I feel like there's just two different schools of thought. As you mentioned, in the West, there is a way that they kind of make you think or feel or believe towards people who are not in the same country as you or don't have the same beliefs as you. And I actually went to a Catholic school, so I did have majority Catholic friends, but at the same time, there were mixed faiths in there as well that were, able to attend. But it doesn't compare to now living in the Middle East. And I have friends of all different backgrounds, all different ages, all different types of experiences, all different classes. And yeah, like I've just learned so much about their culture and what it means to be Muslim from maybe Africa, or maybe if you're Asian, or maybe if you are Arab,
mhm.
and the Christians and all the different conversations. So it's just beautiful how we're all living and thriving together. And, it's a very peaceful place despite what some Western media will show or teach you.
Yeah, speaking of it being a peaceful place, what has been your experience living in Dubai as a Black woman?
Honestly, it's been fantastic. Years ago when I first came, I think my first impression was just that we can be appreciated and accepted and not treated as though we are less than.
Mhm,
That's been my experience as a Black British female. I can't speak for, of course, everyone, and I think it's probably, if I'm honest with you, similar for Americans as well. I'm coming from a freelance and a creative background, so I haven't necessarily been in the corporate world to really give a take on that experience, or even in education. There's a lot of educators here in the last 10 years. There's
mhm,
been a lot more of an influx and focus on English teachers, or English speaking teachers, should I say, from English native countries, as opposed to, for example, an English teacher who might be from Egypt, where that's not
mhm,
their first language, for example. And so, um, for the most part, I think that is the same experience, because I feel like in the UK, although I was born and raised there, and I'm very proud to be British, and I'm very proud to have a Caribbean background as well. My dad's side is Jamaican, and my mum's side is Grenadian and Trinidadian. I feel like that was more my culture. We
mhm,
identified more within Caribbean. And there wasn't always this welcoming feeling in the UK. And I think even to this day, I've grown up there. I know it like the back of my hand, friends and family, that's my roots. But there is a sense of other when you're
mhm.
there, and you're kind of still made to feel like at any moment in time they could say go back home, which
Yeah.
thankfully I haven't been the subject of a lot of racial slurs in the UK. But I think the UK has the same mentality as the US, just polite.
Mhm,
They're a bit politer about it, until they get aggressive about, whatever racial slurs they want to say. So fortunately for me, I haven't been on the receiving end of too much of that growing up.
mhm.
But in the Middle East, you don't feel that at all. I think there is an essence of people wanting to know more about you, because that, they see you, they, might assume you're from, to be honest, I think a lot of people think I'm American, which obviously I'm not.
Yeah.
But then when you start speaking, they wonder where your accent's from. And many people actually who are here may never have even traveled to the UK or Europe before. So their curiosity is more so about, are there Black people from the UK, or where is the Caribbean? Which part of the world is that? Is it in Africa? Is it this? Is it that? So I tend to have a lot of conversations with people, even if they do know where it is, they've never been to that side of the world before, or they may have, but not necessarily been to Jamaica, or maybe they have been to Jamaica. So it often opens up curious conversations, whereas in the UK, that's not really that's not a line of conversation. So yeah, it's, for the most part, for me, I think fantastic. I'm able to have a lifestyle here that I don't and wouldn't have had in the UK, earning the same, or less than. And I just think the UAE allows you to really create your own lane, which is what I've been able to do with Black Girl in Dubai, and even with my creative stuff. Only gigging and working 2 or 3 days a week before COVID was like the equivalent of me working full time when I was in London, and having a completely different lifestyle in the sun with the beaches and stuff like that. Whether you want to do the high end, fancy stuff, or you want to just do free things and chill at the beach or whatever it may be. The point is, I didn't have that lifestyle in the UK. And even if I wanted to have it, I'd be working a different job and full time to afford that. Whereas obviously here in the UAE, it's tax-free living, and I could do less work, but have a more desirable lifestyle with my income.
Wow.
So it's been great. It's been great.
No, that's good to hear. I only knew about, before we met, Yunchi. Yunchi. Is that how you say her name? I always mess up her name.
Yes.
Yeah, she was here in Portugal for a little bit, and then she moved to Dubai. And you and her are the only two Black women that I know that live in Dubai. I don't know anybody else. So it's
Really?
it's very interesting. And so
Oh,
I
wow.
follow her stories, and of course, I follow your stories. But I know you had just mentioned about a Black girl in Dubai. So why don't you tell everyone how you started and what was the motivation behind it?
Yeah, so I've been here 7 years, and in my first year, I was just focused on getting gigs. I've been fortunate enough to perform in some amazing places whilst I was here in my first year or so. And I would literally just be home, wasn't interested in making friends. I was literally just talking to musicians, gigging, rehearsals, back home, rinse and repeat. And if I wasn't doing that, I was learning songs. So after like my first year, I kind of realized that it was a challenge for me anyway, unless I was traveling back to the UK, which I did do a few times in my first year. But unless I was traveling back to the UK, I couldn't find the normal stuff that I was used to picking up, whether it was hair products or certain foods that, I wasn't going to try and bring my whole suitcase full of food stuff, but there were just
Yeah.
things that I missed. And I may meet someone on the metro or see someone out, and I'd be like, where do you get this, or how do you find it, or vice versa. People come asking me like, sis, where did you do this to your hair or whatever. And after about my first year, I was really inspired to like switch it up, to change. I'd moved countries, I wanted to do something different, and I decided I wanted to shave the back of my head. I always have this updo, so I thought, I'll shave the back of my head, I'll make it funky and jazz it up for my gigs and stuff. And I knew someone who was always getting her head shaved. She actually had a really low cut. And I thought it was beautiful, but I wasn't going to try and go bald. But I thought I really want to get something edgy like what she had. And I asked her, and she told me this place that she went to. It was a little bit further than I wanted to travel, but she told me that she goes to this guy and he's very good with afro hair. I was like, great. So it took me about a month or two to pluck up the courage. But one day I'm just like, I'm going to do it. And I'm like that. When I like something, I just go for it. So I decided one day, wash my hair. I didn't want it to be too complicated for whoever was going to do this style. And I would hire a car. At this point, I wasn't driving. So I hired a car. I drive to the other side of town. I get to the salon, which is the right place. The guy's there that day. And I wait. And I wait. And I wait. And I wait. An hour goes by. The receptionist was lovely. But aside from that, nobody's talking to me. I'm just sitting waiting in this empty salon. No one's talking to me. Anyway, the gentleman who I was waiting for, technically, I believe, was doing someone's hair, but someone had left, come, gone, did whatever. Still no one's attending to me.
Wow.
Eventually, when I obviously start to ask, because I'm, on my phone doing stuff, and I'm like, is this guy going to see me? He very in a blasé attitude, sort of says, come to the chair. I show him the pictures of what I wanted. I had 2 or 3 examples.
Mhm.
Very nonchalant, just like, yeah, not rude, but just
Yeah.
chill.
No worries in the world. Just, yeah.
Guy went like this.
With the razor?
Butchered my hair.
No.
And like,
Yes.
I don't even think I was in the seat for 5 minutes.
He didn't like
Now,
assess.
with any barbershop, first of all, not that you go to a barbershop regularly, but with barbershop, you're not ever in the chair for 5 minutes.
No.
In any salon, there's nothing that you go to a salon for or a barbershop for that is 5 minutes. Okay.
No.
So, and I'm not even exaggerating. I mean this. So there was no like, oh my gosh, I've maybe messed this up, or oh, is that not what she meant? Or oh my God, she's not happy. None of that. It was still the same consistent, chilled. So now I'm thinking, did he not want to do my hair? Does he want to, like, is he not going to fix, like, what's going on here? Anyway, didn't care. Wasn't trying to fix it.
Wow.
Then he said, it's your hair. And I nearly lost it because as a female and
Oh my
as a Black
goodness.
female, you cannot tell the person whose hair you just messed up, who you haven't apologized to, that it's their hair the reason why you couldn't do the style. Bro, you shouldn't have touched it if you couldn't do the style.
Yeah.
So, of course, I'm mortified. I'm frustrated. And I honestly felt so embarrassed because now I'm in this shop with, like, I'm naked. My hair is out. And just, yeah. So I left there. And I had to pay, by the way, because people were like, I hope you didn't pay for that. I'm like, listen, I was not trying to get arrested for not paying and for them to call the police on me. So I was paid. And then when I called my male friends to ask them who could do, so context, I didn't explain in the beginning that here, male and female salons are separate. They're not mixed. So when I was trying to find a salon, and why I went specifically to this girl's barber, is because I knew that they did female hair. Whether it was, whether they had a permit or not is another thing, but I was like, they do females hair, so I'll go to this barbershop. Most of the lady salons only do like braiding, weaves, all that kind of stuff. But to find a female barber to do females hair is kind of hit and miss. It's unheard of here. So I'm like, I'll go to this guy. So when I call my male friends to be like, I need someone to do my hair, I don't care if it's at my house, his house, a shop, wherever, just I need someone to fix this.
Yeah.
All 3 of the guys that I called who were Black males either didn't know a barber, did their own hair, or just went to a barber that wasn't Black and probably wouldn't know how to do Afro hair either. They could do obviously male hair, but cutting, I guess.
What you wanted.
Right. So I called a female. And I did not explain that I was now naked with a bald, butchered head. But I just said, like, I've got an emergency. I need someone. And within minutes, it was like, call Maureen. She'll come to your house in the morning. She'll braid your hair. So I had braids for like 2-3 weeks to cover up this atrocity at the back of my head. Still never told anyone because I was so embarrassed by the whole thing. I mean, technically, it wasn't my fault. Yeah. However, I felt so violated and I honestly burst into tears as soon as I left because I was like, not upset that my hair was cut. I decided to cut the hair already. I was more violated and just felt so like insulted by the entire process. And I just felt never again am I going to let somebody else who doesn't understand me or my culture touch my hair because it's such a precious thing. And of course, I had trusted the girl whose hair I saw, but this man clearly, I mean, I don't know why he was great with her and not with myself, but it just really spurred me on to really want to connect people because I was already meeting other business owners who would say, Black people don't support my business. On the flip side, I would speak to these guys and other people who say, I don't know any Black businesses. And I'm like, how can you keep saying that? I've only been here for a year. You've been here for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. So what have you been doing this whole time? And again, they're like, well, I just wait till I go home, or I cut it myself, or I just find this. So everyone had these kind of loophole fixes, but no one was actually finding a solution. So that drove me to literally go home, list all the people I knew. Okay, Heather does this. Okay, Brian does that. Okay, this person does this. And I said, I'm going to create a directory so you guys can stop talking about, I don't know him, or she doesn't know
Mm.
this, or I can't find it. You're going to find it now. And that's literally the birth of Black Girl in Dubai, to create a directory to bring people together. But I think the common issue is that as a Black person, when you move to another location, yes, we're in these diverse communities, and everybody loves a part of the culture to some degree, but then when it actually comes to resonating with the culture and actually being able to find it, like I trusted this barber because I'd seen evidence from this girl. When it really came
Mhm.
down to it, this barber did not give two damns about me or my hair. It was about the
Yeah.
money. And I sat there for an hour. There was no apology for the time or bad customer service. It was just all these things. And I thought, why am I continuously giving my money to people who do not care about serving me? So,
Yeah.
yeah, that was kind of the motivating factor. And to be honest, globally, we are one of the biggest consumers. Of course, Black
Mm.
people have money and African people have money, and there were rich ones, broke ones, etc. But globally, we are the biggest consumers. We don't save as much as our counterparts. We don't invest as much as our counterparts. And until we actually do something about that and stop going, oh, I can't find this person, or I don't trust this person, or I don't know where it is, until we stop all of that and actually intentionally spend with each other, it's going to be the same
Yes.
cycle. And so for me, and for any other female out there, or even male, hair is a very big thing, of course. And there were many men who actually said, I don't go to the barber shop for this reason. And if I find a good barber, I stick to that barber. I don't care where they're from. I just stick
Mhm.
to that barber because I don't want it to be messed up. I'm away from home. And if my wife can't cut it for me or whatever, and I've heard all sorts of stories, whether they've paid too much, or they've also had a nightmare barber, or they've just found a decent barber. And it's like, well, what do I do? I just got to stick with this person because I'm not ready to experiment with someone else. So that's been that. But now, we've discovered over 100 plus Black and African businesses, from salons to restaurants to cafes to all sorts, fashion designers, personal trainers. And honestly, everyone's looking for a piece of home. We're away from home, we're in another country, you need the support and the business. People are looking for friends, dating, business,
Mm.
everything. So it's evolved over the time that we started 5 years ago. But that is what pushed me to do it, because there was such a disconnect with everyone. So yeah.
Yes, that's very similar to how I created my directory too. And it's crazy because I don't think people realize how much of the African presence is in Portugal. And although,
Mm,
yeah, as the transatlantic slave trade, yes, that's still huge, but people don't realize that Portugal also colonized 5 African countries, that their presence is very much there. So they're just like, oh, are there Black people? Are there Black hair products? Can I get my hair done? Where can I get this? Where can I do that? And I'm just like, there's so many Black businesses in Portugal, but it's like no one's really talking, or they're not listed on Google. I went to a really good Cape Verdean restaurant that's in one of the Cape Verdean neighborhoods, and not listed on Google at all. No Facebook, no nothing. So it does make it hard to really locate these people. I mean, it took me 2 years just to create the directory I have, and I think I have 195 Black-owned businesses and establishments on there. But it's just like, we're out there, but why are we not, coming together saying, hey, I know you might be doing hair, I might be doing hair, he might be a barber. Why don't we at least make a directory where we can all sit and win? But it's more like, if you know someone, if you stumble across it, and I just think it's just crazy. But it's kind of like the saying, like, it just takes one person to create a change. They start the ball rolling, and it's kind of like what we're doing. And now when people come to Portugal, even when people come to Dubai, now they know, like, okay, I know somewhere to get my nails done, my hair done, my face. I know I'm going to eat good at this restaurant. I know I can use this service provider. So it's really, really, really good. And I love to see that other communities as well are building directories. They may not be as large, because it does take a lot of time and energy and a lot of running around and going to places and talking to the owners and everything. So that's really, really, really amazing. And I'm really sorry to hear that, you know, the guy
Absolutely.
care and just like did not care. And, I don't want to spend my money in places where I'm not even acknowledged. Even a simple, hey, I'm sorry he's running late. It could have been, it's just a busy day for him. It could have been anything, but just not to say anything at all. It just like, I don't want to spend my money at places where people are not going to take me into consideration, knowing that I'm paying y'all electric bill. I'm about to pay y'all phone bill with a little bit of money that, I am giving for this service. So but I feel like everything happens for a reason. Like if that experience didn't happen to you, do you feel that you would have created a directory sooner than later? Or do you feel like that needed to happen to like fuel, the fury? Like, okay, something needs to change.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about it before, but because I moved for music, I was really trying to just hone my attention on one thing. So, learning songs, rehearsing songs, going to gigs, talking to other musicians, that's all I was really trying to focus on. But something was pulling me, and my cousin and a few people that oh, I've got this idea. And they're like, yeah, you should do it. You should do it. I kind of talked myself in and out of it multiple times
Mhm.
because I think the business that I had in the UK was also about bringing people together and doing like leaflet distribution and promotion and all those kind of things. But I just thought, yeah, I'm just going to leave the creative side outside of music to the side. I'm going to leave the business to the side. I'm not going to think about any other ideas. I'm just going to focus on music, stack my money, and that's it. This situation irked me so much that I didn't even have to think. I did not
Mhm.
even have to think. I was like, no, 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 no. That idea has to be birthed today because if I don't do it, who's going to do it? And not only that, but I could see it very, very clearly. And I think for other people, it would be like, well, mm, I don't really get it. So I was like, what, it's easy. Just connect.
Mhm.
So I was like, yeah, if they don't get it, I'm tired of explaining it, or even just telling people, oh, you can go to this place, you can go to that place. Just now, here's a website.
One-stop shop.
Click the Instagram, check that, it's done. Nice and easy.
Wow. So what were some of your initial challenges when that you faced when you started Black Girl in Dubai?
I think letting people know that we exist, I think like word of mouth honestly is a constant never-ending journey. And word of mouth is beautiful because it doesn't have to just be me or the team sharing what we do. I've been blessed to have some amazing, passionate people join the team over the time. And we've now launched a membership. So that also helps with a lot of people doing, word of mouth. But when everything in the very beginning was very organic, it takes time, it takes time. But I think over the years, we've learned, of course, the things that work, the things that don't work. We've, discerned where we're going to spend on advertising. We've discerned who to work with and who to collaborate with, because I don't think it works as, do advertising for everything or to work with everyone, but making sure that we are having a clear vision and helping people to understand what it is that we do. And I think just being unapologetic about it, actually, I've had some people say, why is it called Black Girl in Dubai? Whether it's the girl part or whether it's the black part, like, why can't it just be called the directory of culture, for example? And I
Mhm.
always say to people, and I think even when I've come across communities like yourself, the black part is important because there are so many other communities that we're all part of all of the time that doesn't have a focus, whether it's inclusive or not. There are people every single day, even like just a few days ago, I connected with someone and they're like, when I first moved here, I've got colleagues and people that I've met who just don't seem to understand where I'm from. Now she's South African. There are many South Africans here, but if you can't find people that you can connect to and relate to, then it can be very, very isolating and lonely. And I don't think that's just a Dubai thing. It's very fast paced here. But I
Yeah.
think that's, you move abroad, you're starting all over again. It's new friends, new colleagues, new home, new routines, new everything. So you need to be able to connect with something from home, whether that's South Africa or America or whatever. And then just, being able to talk to people who understand you and your culture. So the black part is always going to be important. It's not a race thing, like you can't sit with us. It's actually more so about creating a safe space where you can have these honest conversations, because maybe your colleagues won't even understand if you were to express this with them, whether they're the same color as you or not. If you can't talk on the same wavelength, you're going to
Yeah.
get homesick, you're going to get lonely, you're going to feel out of place all the time. And when you're moving to a new country or having a new job or a new experience, you kind of want to and need to get comfortable sooner rather than later to make sure that it's the right place for you. So I think that's probably been one of the ongoing challenges. But equally, like today, having these conversations are what I really, really enjoy. So yeah, I think it's going to be an ongoing thing, but I'm embracing it. So yeah.
I can relate because here in Europe, even Black in anything, I've had a lot of hate from Europeans here about bringing racism from the US, and that why do we need why do Black people need their own space? We don't see color here. And it's just like I want to try to understand their viewpoint, but at the same time, like, Europeans have no idea what African Americans have gone through in America, and they don't understand to the full extent that we need our own safe spaces. I feel like no one really bats an eye when it is Asian spaces or Latinx spaces, but when it's Black space, it's like an issue. And it's just like, it's not that we're being racist, it's that I can't have a conversation about racism or colorism or prejudice with someone that has never experienced a day in their life, that has privilege, and they just want to understand, or you won't get the type of feedback that you, not that you want to hear, but that you need. Me and you, even though you're from the UK, we're from the US. I know I joke around about y'all losing the war, but we can still relate. We can relate on things. Like, I cannot relate to things with someone who does not look like me sometimes. So creating spaces to connect with others that might be from South Africa, that might be from different regions in Togo, or might be from different areas in Europe or the Americas, anywhere, is so important. So I'm really happy that you created this. And it's just not for women. You have opportunities for men and networking and everything. And I think it's just really important to highlight individuals like yourself that are building empowerment and building something for the next woman to stand on, for the next man to get that job, for the next child that looks up to you. And it's just like, wow, I came across her Instagram on my feed. I don't know who she is, but I'm gonna click on her page and see, wow, she's living in Dubai. I think that's so strong and powerful, because growing up, granted, the internet was just starting, but I never imagined Black people were living in these other countries, like, by their choice, going there,
Absolutely.
exploring, taking the risk. I know that people go for jobs or like the embassy or like the military, but like nothing where it's like, okay, wow, she can do it, I can do it. I feel like I didn't have that inspiration, and I feel like a lot of other people, my age, could ask that question. Someone put a Q, Sasa. If you have a question, please ask it for sure. So it's very inspirational seeing Black men and women overseas doing this, creating community, exceeding all expectations, and I love it. I have so many words I want to say that the thoughts are coming, but I'm not getting the words out. But I know you understand. It's something major, something major. So kudos for you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I know you have an amazing story, and I really hope that others find it just as inspiring as well. And speaking of,
Well, that's also the thing, as you said, like, we definitely cater to everyone, because the name, yes, is Black Girl in Dubai, but I always say to people, it's a metaphor. If you come to the page, the first thing you'll see, it says is community. And if you think of like your elder sister or auntie, or just someone who is so loving and has always got you and has always got the hookup, that's
Mhm.
what it's about. And that's probably the easiest way to describe it, actually, because some people say, why do you choose that name? And honestly, I think it creates so much curiosity, which was the point in the branding. I think if it had another name, people wouldn't talk about it. People wouldn't ask about it. But because it has that name, you'd probably wonder, who is Black Girl in Dubai? Today, yes, you will see my face on there, quite a bit, but in the very beginning there was no face to it. It was about the community. So the salons, the personal trainers, the people, people say, where do I meet black guys? Where do I meet this? Where do I do that? So the page was always about the people, and still is. But as I'm a talker and people actually like to hear what I have to say, I've been encouraged over time to say, you know what, we want to see more of you on the page. So, in the influencer era, and I say that loosely because I don't call myself an influencer at all, but I do understand that I have the gift to speak, not just to sing and to use my voice for musical purposes, but I understand that I have my voice to kind of speak for others as well. So whether it is, visiting a new salon or checking out a new cafe or a restaurant, I have a way to present it and storytell.
Yes.
So
And
now
you're,
you will see more of my face on there, but it was never intended for it to be like my personal blog or anything. It's definitely about the community. And so when you see the bio, it's about connecting people, to the businesses, to the culture. And you could be from wherever, if you're European or wherever, and you want to experience, you want to have authentic jerk chicken, we can tell you where to go. If you want to find that African print blouse, if you want to get that, outfit made, like, again, there's a lot of Nigerians here and they're like, yo, I need to get an outfit made for this. Where do I get that from? I can't fly home to get it. For me, it's planting. I love planting. When I first came here, I was like, where do I get planting from? And I'd find it in some of these shops occasionally, but they call it Indian banana. I'm
yes.
like, I don't think this is Indian banana. And it took a while to figure out. I would look at a real banana and then the planting. I'm like,
Yeah, you
I
got to
think
feel
this is
it.
it.
Yeah.
I'll FaceTime my mum and be like, Mum, which one is which? I think it's this one. You can smell it in the shop. But it's all these experiences, you're away from home. I can't pack my case full of planting to last me a year, So it was all these little nuances. And now that, people come here, whether they're here to visit or they want to find friends or they want to find events, like right now, Amapiano and Afrobeats is huge. You need to go to these places that are going to play that music. Don't be coming here telling me, oh, I went to this place and it wasn't vibing. Yeah, it wasn't vibing because you did not hook up the right spot.
Exactly.
That's why. Because we're here. We're here and we're doing it. So, yeah.
So Sasha has a few, I guess, statements, things she wanted to say. So I'm just going to pop it up on the screen. So first she said, thank you so much for this live. Portugal and Dubai are my favorite destinations at the moment. And then she said, any advice for a Belgian Black girl? By the way, I'm in Belgium right now. So it's very interesting. I have my first Belgian viewer who has a diverse career portfolio: business, administration, and finance, and baking, and project management in philanthropy, DEI, social impact, and who has been an expat in Australia and in Spain in the last 6 years, and now in a transition period looking to reinvent myself in Dubai. And then she goes on to say, I am currently unemployed. FYI, I've been to Dubai twice in the last 6 months. One time for the holidays in December, and second in May for events and try to network. I'm bilingual in English and French and basic Spanish. And she said, thank you, and we need to meet then. So what would you advise for someone that is trying to start anew in Dubai?
So that's amazing. You got so much diversity there. And I'm going to go back and quickly read part of what you were saying, because there's actually a lot of French Africans here, actually. So I don't speak French, but I know there's a lot from perhaps Congo or Togo or Cameroon. There is a Francophone community here. So first and foremost, I would say, what is it that you're passionate about and that you want to go into the most? First of all, follow that, because I think trying to reinvent yourself and going down a path that when you get to Dubai, it's going to make you chase a path that you're not going to enjoy in the long run, I think is going to be a big challenge. It might be glitz and glam in the beginning, but Dubai is very fast paced. And if you don't kind of do something that you're passionate about from the beginning, you can kind of lose your why. So I would say, think about the thing that you're most passionate about. Philanthropy here, there's a few charities, but it's kind of I wouldn't say hard or impossible to get into charity work, but it's not as easy to set up your own charity and do stuff. So again, if you're thinking about philanthropy and doing things down that capacity, that's a long road to set up a charity. I think in any countries, in to be honest, because even in the UK, you have to go through loopholes to have an official charity. But if you were thinking about that route, it might be better to think about philanthropy in terms of donating and putting your charity work or your charity hat on in other areas of expertise. But DEI and social impact is fantastic. A lot of people are very big on the whole diversity and culture thing as well. So if you have a skill set that you can put into a company that is looking for somebody who's, all about diversity and inclusion, that's fantastic. But I would say finance and banking is probably a big thing here, and also project management. So if, for example, you are a scrum master in project management, or you're able to learn about that and train for that kind of thing, I think that would be really, really good. I know a few people who consult in project management and have gone down the route of being a scrum master, because it can be quite flexible, whether you're going to work from home or you're going to work within a company and consult. I think the money's quite good there. Not that you should be doing it only for the money, but I think it's a good, area to go down financially. And then finance and banking. I'm not sure when you came here if you were able to go to DIFC, which is the Dubai Financial International Finance Center. So going down to DIFC, networking there, speaking to people in that area, you'll kind of meet the right kind of people to talk to. And yeah, I think just making sure that everything on your CV is relevant and up to date, and obviously tailored. And just making sure if you are here that you have a UAE number. I think if you have an international number, the assumption for a lot of people is that you don't live here or you're not trying to be based here. So even if you're here temporarily and for a short time, definitely have a UAE phone number so you can contact people on WhatsApp, which is a big thing that happens here. All sorts of stuff, friends, business, ordering from the stores, like everything's on WhatsApp. So making sure you have a UAE number for that, and then obviously being able to call and get to different places is quite a good thing. So yeah, I don't know. I've seen there's a few more comments here, so I'm just trying to see if maybe you've Sandra, but Sasa for short. Hi, Sandra. But yeah, that's a few tips that I would say. But great that you've been able to at least come and visit and get to know those areas. So I would definitely say check out DIFC for that if you're looking to get into finance.
Yes, thank you so much for answering Sandra's question. We have a few more questions to get through. I know we are winding down on our time, but I love that Sandra's question really rolled into what advice would you give someone who wants to move abroad? I lost the screen real quick. And live their dreams.
Dubai is very, very fast paced. So, sorry, was that a Dubai specific question or just generally a move abroad question?
Just a move abroad.
Generally, for moving abroad, I would say if you can't stop thinking about it and it gives you joy thinking about the place you're going to, then definitely put the action steps in to make it a reality, because you can think about it and dream about it forever, but you will never regret taking that chance, no matter what happens. I used to think, what if it doesn't work out? And even to this day, I've got friends and family who say, if it doesn't work out, whatever that looks like to you, because I've been here 7 years already, so it's worked out, right? But if it doesn't work out and you need to come back home, there is no shame in that. And sometimes I've needed to hear that, to be honest with you, because often you think, what are people going to say? I failed, it didn't work, blah, blah, blah. But by even going in the first place, you are doing a lot of things that many people will never, ever, ever do. And so for you, you've got to really ask yourself, do I want to look back and know that I never tried, or that I let fear or that friend or that job stand in the way of me going? Or do I actually really want to go and give this place a try and see how it works out? So I would always say just do it. If you're thinking about it and you can't stop thinking about it, like I did Dubai for 6 years, just do it, honestly. Research the place you're going to as well. I think there are going to be some things you'll never, ever find out until you move. That's just the way life is. Until you're living it and breathing it, you'll get step 1, step 2, step 3 along the way. But just research as much as you can, and being here asking these questions is part of that as well. It's not just, you know, building the courage, it's also doing the practical research. You know, how much money will you need, you know, building up an emergency fund. It's not just about buying a plane ticket and never looking back. And even though I packed 2 suitcases and, you know, came and did whatever with my cousin, I knew that I was coming as a freelance musician, so I wasn't technically trying to just go and get a job, so to speak, but I was prepared to. If I needed to, I was prepared to, you know, hand out CVs, connect with people, and I was grinding. I was going to auditions. I was getting on buses. I know people today who would never get on a bus in Dubai. I was getting on buses. I was getting on metros. I was meeting whoever, wherever, until I got my first gig. And even then, there was still a grind. So I think you just gotta know that you're gonna do whatever it takes to stay, and not give up until you've turned over every last stone. So anyway, I don't know if that's helpful.
No,
but
that was good. That was good. It was you provided so much like meat and potatoes to the question. So I think I'm sorry, not meat. I know you
no,
don't
meat
eat.
and potatoes. I was like, I gave
Okay.
a lot of meat and potatoes.
Yeah. A lot of vegetarian options to the plate. But no, that was really good. So my last 2 questions for you, Kai. What has been your favorite part about your journey so far, both in Dubai and with Black Grown Dubai?
My favorite part now is the membership. I have been able to create a safe space for a diverse group of Black people, whether they are entrepreneurs or creatives or corporate workers or stay-at-home mothers. It's a safe space for people to connect with each other and be intentional about supporting Black businesses. For the first few years of Black Girl in Dubai, it was like, you know, I'm just going to promote and advertise, that's it. But I realized the more that people found the page is the more questions they had, and the more questions they had, the more they wanted to connect. And as humans, we want to connect. So being able to provide that safe space for them has been such a privilege. Just over the weekend, we had a jerk and sip event, which was actually hosted by one of our members who's an event organizer. And, you know, so many people over and over talk about people not supporting, people not knowing they exist. And, you know, businesses not getting the same visibility as the big multinational companies who have huge advertising budgets. So I'm always saying to people, let's do something together, let's collaborate. And this was the first time she collaborated with us, and it was a huge success. And just seeing people who did not know each other 2-3 hours before, even people I hadn't met, there were people who would join the membership who don't speak much, just, you know, observe until they make friends, or maybe don't have the time because they work a lot. But coming out on Friday, they were able to honestly laugh, be accepted, relax, learn about the culture because it was in a Jamaican spot. And we were able to support each other. You know, they were supporting the community. We were supporting the Black-owned restaurant. We were also supporting the event organizer. She's from Kenya. And so we all learned different things about each other's, you know, home countries. But we also learned about the food and the wine that she was, you know, teaching us about. So having that safe space has been honestly one of my favorite parts, because sometimes the work that we're doing seems like it's going unnoticed. And, you know, you want to grow your page, you want to grow the website, you want to get, you know, advertisers and sponsors and branding and all those things. But actually the real meet and connection that happens are making a difference to people's everyday lives, but also to those businesses. So yeah, I think, and that's just a few days ago, so I'm still on a high from that. But I think those are the moments that I cherish the most.
No, that's amazing. And speaking of jerk seasoning, I brought some jerk seasoning here to Belgium, some curry powder, some Scotch bonnet. I brought it all. I was like, I got my suitcase and it was unlocked. I was like, oh man, I hope they didn't confiscate, you know, all my little Jamaican spices and everything.
Right?
It made it safe. It made it safe. I'm like, thank God, because I'm gonna be cooking some curry chicken this week. But it's just like having a little bit of home and, you know, our family and our culture, like really, you know, so for me, it's very comforting, you know, even just like the cooking, plantains, finding them. Oh man, just thinking about cooking them. It's just something about the way they taste and just like the rice and the anyway, we can go on about how good Jamaican food is. But last question. What are you looking forward to the most in the future? I know you have a lot of things going on.
In the future, looking forward to more conversations like this. We have in the past started a podcast, which sadly didn't come to full fruition with regards to being broadcast, but we are understanding that a setback is not, completely ruining everything. So the next season is going to be coming shortly. And in fact, it was our pilot season. So the pilot season did very, very well in that sense, because we learned a lot about what we wanted to film and how we wanted to film that. So people can look out for the podcast where we'll be sharing journeys of people who actually live here in Dubai, talking about Black excellence. There are some amazing entrepreneurs and business owners that are based here. And we just want to show also everyday life, so people can expect more of that from our platform. And more travel, more freedom. That's what I will say, in different forms. But there'll be some collaborations coming up. There will be just lots more happening. And I guess also there's so many people always traveling to Dubai, and we have been, collaborating with different brands and different groups and events over time. But we're actually going to be taking those collaborations in a new direction with travel and freedom. So yeah, that's what you can look out for from us.
Yes, that is amazing. And I know your social media handles are linked in the description of this YouTube live. But if there's any other handles, definitely just send them over to me, because I'm really excited about the podcast and hearing more authentic stories and interviews from people that are actually living there and doing amazing things. So thank you so much for mentioning that. And I know that even though the podcast is on the back burner right now from before, but timing is everything. And when it launches, it's going to be such a beautiful thing.
Thank you very, very much. Well, yes, anyone who's maybe listening to the audio, you can obviously, I think, find everything in the description of the podcast. But you can get me personally at I Am Simply Kai on Instagram, TikTok, most social media platforms, and Black Girl in Dubai. You can get the team there on Instagram and TikTok as well. If you're thinking of moving to Dubai, we do have an ebook called The Essential Guide to Moving to Dubai, talking about visas, apartments, accommodation, job seeking, and all of the things. It's literally $35 and is a great resource to really answer some basic but also in-depth questions that you may not have thought about. And for sure, you can get in touch with the team if you want to know some more information as well. So I'll give you that link if you wanted to check that out. But if you are in Dubai and you want to find any Black businesses or just the hub of everything, blackgirlindubai.com is where you need to be. So thanks.
Yes, and all the hyperlinks will be in the description on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. So you have so many ways to reach out to Kai. And I just want to say thank you for this live. I know it's late your time, but I really, really did enjoy talking to you. I'm looking forward to curating this Black in Portugal and Black Girl in Dubai trip. I know we were planning for September, but life was lifing. So 2025, I'm looking forward to bringing people from Portugal to Dubai and just to connect and create memories and network. I think that's like the biggest thing. And seeing that we're out here thriving. We're not out here on the struggle bus, people are doing amazing things. Yeah. Yes. So with that being said, thank you, everyone who tuned in. Every Sunday, I'll be interviewing someone new. Next weekend, I am interviewing Dawn, and I'm super excited to talk to her as well. Definitely check the live section on my YouTube channel, and you can get all the information. And if you would like to be interviewed and you have an amazing story, you do not have to live abroad. The only requirement is that you are a traveler and you have an interesting story, or you're thinking about moving abroad and you would like to share your story of the process and your motivations to moving abroad, definitely you can send me an email at heather@blackinportugal.com, or reach out on the website at www.blackinportugal.com, and I will get back to you. So this is the end, and we will see you guys soon.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.